We're on. Hi, Erin.
Hey, Pam, how are you today?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Awesome. It's Tuesday, which means that the podcast is live, which is why we're here. And the podcast that we're talking about is frank, fun, and focused discussion to move your business forward, one bite-sized action at a time. So we hop in here every Tuesday at 10:30 Eastern. Sometimes we're live, sometimes we record live and share with you. So you can always hop on social or YouTube to find us. I'm Erin and this is Pam. And so Pam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Erin. Thanks for popping in to watch us today. I am Pam and I'm a remote work expert. My mission is to help you reimagine work to find joy. And I've created a community designed to help you do just that. It's called The Zone. And I'm very pleased to be sitting here today and every Tuesday with Erin, who will share a little about who she is and what she does.
Sometime we should introduce each other. I always want to hear what people say about me, which is part of what we're talking about today. So I'm a copywriter and marketing strategist, and I work with high-powered action takers poised to do big things, ready to make big things happen in their business so that they can get their messaging and their strategy just right to attract and engage their clients. So today we're talking about, do you want to talk about it? Go ahead.
Sure. Your offers, your services, and how to position them to attract your ideal client with ease. You know, it's one of the first things that most of the people that I work with come to me to talk about. You know, what should I do? How much should I charge? Are people going to buy this? Where do you start? And I think it's kind of simple. You start with figuring out, you know, what can you do that's going to show your value really early to your potential clients so that you're leading them through the experience that they want to have and that you know they need to have the transformation that they're seeking when they hire you for whatever it is that you do. Because when you think about positioning your offers and your pricing, so many of us have lists and lists and lists of things we could do, but it's figuring out what is it that we're going to offer and put out into the world, at least for marketing purposes, to get people in the door. And what I always encourage you to do is think about that experience. We talked about this a couple weeks back a little bit when we did an episode on your website and where to start. And it's giving people that kind of gourmet fine dining experience with you. You are the chef. You are the one that knows that in order to have that 5-course meal that's going to like light their taste buds on fire and get them coming back and reviewing your restaurant, you know that they need to start with that amuse-bouche, that little bite that's going to whet their palate and get them excited. So when we talk about offers and services, you need to think about where most of your clients should begin on their journey to achieve many different directions. And for a lot of people, it's an initial consultation of some sort where you're getting to know them, they're getting to know you, and you're giving them enough of a starting point with whatever you deliver to show them that they should trust you to move on to a bigger package.
And I think to add to that, if you're not sure what people want, ask them. Hop on some market research calls because you know, you can think and think and think and think and think that you know what is most valuable to people, or you know the pain points that they have, or you know the services they have. But until you actually ask them, you don't actually know. And so it's hard. You can know your customers inside and out and still not know exactly what they wish they'd known when they started working with you. So in our last episode, I said, you know, ask your customers what surprises you, but ask them what they wish they'd known about working with you ahead of time, because probably most of them would say, gosh, I wish I had started sooner to whatever it is that you do. And so when it comes to what you do, Pam, you hit on this. Like one of the first things that you've said was you can do a million things and you can be really, what's the word? You can have a robust list of services that you want to offer. But the thing is, you don't necessarily want to be known for offering all of those. Right. So I went to a virtual conference. That sounds strange that I went, but it was insanely immersive. Like I had no idea how much focus it was going to take and require and how much. Anyway, so that's a story for another time. But one of the speakers that was in there is a gal who I adore, and I kind of may have found her on all of the social media. And I was like, can we be friends? Because I really liked what you said about this. And what she said is your niche is what people do when you're not in the room. So control the narrative. And so it's literally about everything, but it's about like getting super clear on what it is that you want to be known for. And then that's what you talk about. You can still do all the other stuff. So if you're an email copywriter, which is what this gal is, her name's Iman Ismail. And if that's what you want to be known for, say, this is what I do. This is who I work for. This is who I work with. If you want to be a boudoir photographer, but you don't have a huge following of clients yet, say, I'm a boudoir photographer. If you're a family photographer, say you're a family photographer. Pick whatever you want to be known for. It doesn't mean that as a family photographer, you can't do the occasional boudoir session or vice versa, but it's what you're known for that is what's important. So when you're building packages, whether for your website, whether for your set proposals, whether it's a product or a category of product that you offer, digital or tangible, think about what you want to be known for and the people who you want to know you for that thing, which sounds really complicated. It's clear in my head. But the idea is that think about who you want to work with and how you want them to talk about you behind your back, like hopefully positively, but
you want them to.
What you're known
this
for.
Is the one time you want people to talk about you.
Right. And so pay attention if you're not sure how people talk about you. When you get introduced for a referral, pay attention to how you're introduced, because that's then what people say about you behind your back. There's a gal who I know who's a copywriter. I have an insanely awesome network of copywriters. And there's a gal I know who is like a tech whiz. She knows all of the platforms and she's like, hey, I can help you with these things. So I introduced her to a few people and I was like, hey, she's great at ActiveCampaign or Klaviyo or whatever it is that they were looking for. You should talk to her. She's like, I don't want to be known as a tech person. I want to be known as a copywriter. And I was like, oh, well, if you're a copywriter who can help implement, then maybe that's different than being willing to implement for other people. And she's like, well, by the way, I'm still willing to implement for you, but that's not how I want to be known. I was like, wow, cool. So, I mean, you think about it and and to be like insanely clear on this, I'm still figuring out what I want to be known for. I'm known for web copy. I'm known for marketing strategy. And really, I want to lean into the strategy. So that's what I've been talking more about, that and web copy. I can do all of the other things. Like I can write email copy. I can do some of these other pieces for you, but that's not where I excel. And that's not what I enjoy. And so like Pam, you help people reimagine work. And that's what you talk about. You can do other stuff. By the way, Pam is an awesome systems person. But she wants to do that, I believe, and I'm putting words into your mouth probably here. She wants to do that for people who are looking to reimagine work or looking to build better things in their businesses to give themselves better lives. But I don't think you want to be known for being just the systems person anymore. You want to be known for someone who can help you find and build the perfect system.
Right.
You.
So what I do is I help people really look at like, what are they doing in their job or in their business? And is this working for them? It all comes down to systems. It all comes down to setting up not just the tech, but the actual step-by-step process for how you do what you do. But I don't want people to come to me and say, can you build out this ActiveCampaign lead magnet sequence for me? I can, and I do sometimes for people, but it's more about thinking strategically about why we're doing it and coming up with that simple yet effective process that's repeatable and scalable, that's going to get you from where you are to where you want to be, so that the work that you're doing is bringing you joy, I hope, and that you have time for joy outside of work. Because to me, that's like the ultimate, when you're not just getting joy from your work, but you're having time where you're not working and your work is affording you the money and the time and the freedom and the lifestyle that you want. So when I talk about reimagining work, there's a lot of systems behind it. You're right, Erin, but it's more about attracting people that have that mindset, because that is what really ignites me and gets me excited. And what I really feel like transforms people's lives. So many clients that I meet come in at one point or another, or I meet them by accident, who are kind of like, oh, I have to go to work again. It's another 5-day week. I don't have, they're like counting the days to the next like vacation day or whatever day off. And like they're living for vacation. And I want people to like, obviously it's bonus, but feel like their life is a little bit happier just because of what they're choosing to do with their time along the way. So yes, but I have a thought instead, that I think is really important. And I think echoes kind of the whole idea of making sure that you're speaking to the right people. And it's keeping your offers simple so that you don't confuse and overwhelm people, and making sure that they are priced for profit. That's something that a lot of people don't do. They don't think about the pricing for profit, and making sure that when they're setting their rates, there's always these introductory rates and things that you do to gain visibility or testimonials in the beginning. But you want to have that strategy, like I'm talking to you about, with systems in mind. Even if you're giving a free trial or you're giving a low cost, no brainer, I can't believe I'm getting all this for this amount of money offer, ultimately where you're headed, because you need to show people the value. That's why so many times when you see an offer, it'll say you're getting this offer $198, but it's really valued at $500, because they want you to see the value of what you're really getting. It's not just a sales strategy, although it is. It's also to show you really what you're getting, because when you price your services and your products based on their value, it's much more effective, because ultimately you'll be more profitable too, and you're not just hourly, but that's a whole nother conversation. So I encourage you, as you're crafting your offers, keep it to, I think Erin and I agree on this number. Usually like 3 services for your website is premium. Like it's the starting point where you want them, and kind of like a low and high offer for how to work with you, so that you can really guide them along the way, show them the possibilities, know that you have maybe a back end list a mile long of how you work with people, and that you can customize as needed. But it helps you with the structure and the service and the delivery, and also with the sales conversations, because although many situations are unique, they're not always as unique as the people who come to you think they are. And
everyone thinks that they're unique and special, and they are. You are, everyone is, but there are some commonalities. Sorry, that's something that's like a hot button. It's like, oh no, everyone is unique, but you're not as unique as you think you are.
And the last thought I had, and this is all I was going to say, is just, and you want to make sure, because you are in business, that you're always keeping that in mind. Because although you may have, a lot of people have a money mindset issue, like I can't charge $500 for my initial consultation, but think about what back into you getting all of the knowledge that you're sharing with somebody in that hour or 2-hour time period. It's not that they're just paying for your time. They're paying for like the years of education, experience, and expertise that you're bringing to the table when you're a coach or a consultant, or when you're a service provider that's giving them, that tagline. What would you pay to have that right catchphrase at the top of your website that translated into conversions every single time? You might say, I'd pay more than $500. And let's say, I'm not saying Erin charges this, I'm just throwing this out as an example. But let's say Erin says, I could help you in 1 minute. You don't care. And neither does the other person, when you get over that money mindset issue and you realize, I just want the transformation. So when you do that effectively, when you're looking at how you craft your offers, that is what gets people to say, yes, I want this.
Yeah. And I think that's very valid. Like, obviously, people want it faster than usually 6 months from now, unless there's this in-depth discovery process. And sometimes things do take 6 months or to a year. But what they want is to know that, 1, it's going to happen. It's going to make a difference, and that you're the person to do it, which, I want to focus in on that. Like, so what is it that you do? And we talked about, what do you want to be known for? What is it that you do? But what you were saying, Pam, is yes, no more than 3 offers, whether they're related or whether they're slightly different, as long as they tie into the same like umbrella of what you want to be known for. But don't make people make a bunch of decisions, because whether you're looking at a website with like 42 buttons, or you're looking at someone who has 29 service offerings, or you're looking at, any number of things, try to make it so that they only have to make one decision at a time, because the more options you give people, the more confused they're going to be, and the more likely they are to move on. Whether you're on social media, whether you're talking about your website, whether you're in a conversation, you're like, oh, here are all the different multitudinous ways we can work together. And if there are like 42 things that they want to do, and you can help them with every single one of them, each one a different option, maybe a solution would be to break it down into phases.
Absolutely.
Like, here's how we can work together. It's going to happen this first, this second, this third. We're only going to talk about the first phase to start with, because once that's done, then we can talk about the rest, and we'll know each other really well at that point, and we can see. And maybe phase one is a paid consult where you streamline and you prioritize together. Mm-hmm. Maybe phase one is something else, but something that you alluded to, and I think you said outright as well, but just to restate it, is, so what if your first offering is a paid consult for $500 for an hour or two? If you're making a difference to them, they're paying you. Maybe there's no actual, I can't even speak, actual, why is that so hard for me to say today? I've got words like that, but it's not usually actual. If there's no actual deliverable, then you can create one. You can be like, and here's what we talked about as a follow-up email. But you could also apply that to future services that you're going to offer to that client.
That's like my favorite. My favorite is that no risk intro consult, where you say, okay, in Erin's example for what she does with copywriting, it's a $500 introductory consultation where we do the following to map things out. If we move forward, it gets applied. In fact, Erin and I do that with our VIP days. So if you want to get something done with strategy and copy, there's a number of ways we can help you. We start off with a no risk introductory consult where you pay us for that time. We meet, we map out what we can do together in your VIP experience. And if you proceed, it's a deposit towards your VIP experience. If you don't, you paid the consult. That's a great way to give people a way to work with you in a bigger way with a little more confidence before they fully pay you for the full amount, and they know that you're on the same page, because a lot of people have been burned for a lot of money when they're investing in their own businesses. And so when you can kind of give them that olive branch of saying like, listen, I want to work with you if it's a good fit and if I'm delivering what you want, so let's check it out. But I also respect the fact that my time is valuable, and I hope you do too. So this is how I work that. That's like my favorite way to start bigger project engagements. And I also think it's really
it's like a test project, but it's a paid test project.
Yes. Yes.
And that can be applied to anything. You can say, hey, let's see how we work together with this and use this to test for a longer relationship. But it's paid. And I think that's the point that I want to make with what you've just said is you don't have to do it for free. You can offer a free 20-minute call to just say, here's how I can help. If you're interested in moving forward, here's my fee. Let's get it on the books. But beyond that 20-minute call, you shouldn't have to give your work or your knowledge away for free. And some people even charge for that. And I think it just depends where you are in your business.
It depends also what works for you. Like everyone has a different style when they get on coffee chats, and a different mentality of what people are expecting. So trial and error is the best way to go, but keeping it simple is where I would say to start. And then, one other just kind of thought before we get into our massive tips for this topic, because I could talk about this all day long, is making sure that what you're doing brings you joy. And I always say this, and some people think it's trite, but when you are reimagining your life and you are thinking about the work that you're going to do, you want to get up every day and like the majority of how you spend your time if you have some control over it. And when you are guiding people through the process of how you can add value to them and how you can help their life or their business or whatever it is that you do improve, think about your own, because when you're enjoying what you're doing, you are going to show up shinier, brighter, and better than if you're doing something just because you can. There's a lot of things I can do. I can make a list of probably 1,000 quickly, and I'm not bragging, but I don't want to do them all. And right. I don't anymore. And I think learning how to edit that is really key. So my tip for you is to follow joy. And if it's something you don't enjoy, eliminate it from the list. And then sometimes if you say to yourself, I can't eliminate that, Pam, we have to like pay invoices. Okay, well then is it something you can delegate or automate? And then you have to make those strategic choices, because there's always things in business that we're going to say, I have X amount I can invest in my business. We have to decide how much I can pay for automation tools, how much I can pay to delegate. You may have to do a few things, but then you're at least heavy on the items that are within your zone of genius, that really make an impact, that bring you maximum profit and maximum joy.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes to all of it. And it doesn't mean, I think going back to that, there's some things that you can't eliminate. But if you started out, I don't know, proofreading, and you don't want to do that anymore, don't do it anymore. Find a way or make a solution so that you can get into whatever it is you want to do. In short term, maybe you have 4 proofreading hours that you're willing to do a month. Cool. What else do you really want to do?
Right.
And
then find somebody else. There's somebody that loves everything, right? Mm-hmm. Like Erin's always telling me, I know a copywriter that does this. Like she said, she's a huge network of copywriters. I know a lot of people in the remote work world who do all kinds of online business stuff. So when people come my way now and they're like, I need somebody who can do digital ads, or I need somebody who can consult with me about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or I need somebody who can consult with me about mindset issues. I usually either have someone or have a network and can find someone who does that. And it's really important to realize that the more you niche down, the easier it is to market. You feel like it's hard. And this is my last like aha moment that came out of this conversation that I think is like hilarious. You're going to feel like you're talking about the same thing over and over and over again. And if that's how you feel, then you're doing the right thing. Because basically, like Erin said, you want to be known for what you want to be known for, and you want people to hear it. You may realize that you're showing up hour after hour, day after day, talking about the Zone community membership and thinking, how can people that have signed up and know about it by now? But the truth is people are busy, distracted, and doing their thing. You may think, oh, my first impressions audit, everyone knows I'm doing it. And you kind of put it aside and stop doing it. That's the biggest mistake, because what happens is when people hear things like, I don't know, it's like 8 or 10 times, the number changes and whatever, but it's somewhere in that range. Eventually, that's when they hire you, because you're at the front of mind when they need the product. I read something yesterday about like McDonald's and how it's not the best burger, but that people go for it because there's so much advertising that they're like, oh, I want a burger. They think McDonald's. But if you took like an extra moment, you might go somewhere else. I'm not saying they're going to go for you because you're more visible and less quality. You kind of want to be both. But knowing that you're ad nauseum repeating things is going to be what makes you visible and memorable.
Yeah. And to add to that, like, you might say it 42 times and someone still might hear it once because they can't see every social media post. They can't see every email. I mean, there's people I love getting emails from, and I probably only read like a quarter of them. Right. They're probably not going to read every blog that you put out. They're probably not going to even listen to every podcast. Whatever it is that you're doing, keep talking about it. Keep hammering that message in. Like you said, it may feel like you're on repeat, but at some point that pays off because people are like, oh, I know this gal, she does this. Or I know this guy, he's an awesome insert thing here. And I think the other thing to think about is, as you're talking about things, focus on the benefits. I could say, I write web copy, I write home pages, I write about pages, I write service pages, which you're going to be like, cool, that's all stuff that's important. But why do I need it? So if you're talking about the benefits of XYZ, so maybe this is a blog that I should be writing, 29 benefits to having a super awesome about page, or why your about page is actually a sales page, how you can actually get more business with an about page. These are all topics that I could speak on, write about, for hours. Again, I can talk about some of these things for hours and hours and hours and days. But when people are like, oh, I need an about page that sells me.
Right.
It's not just about a bio, because spoiler alert, it should not be just a bio. There's so much more to it than that. But if you're focusing on that, then that makes people say, oh, I need this. This is a huge benefit. Yeah. And like, so if you're focused on the features, and like, this is sales 101, like 100 years ago, I sold furniture for a winter when I was in between my summer employment, because that was what I did in Alaska, was tourism. So you do kind of what you have to do in the winter, and then you do the rest in the summer, what you really like to do, at least in the tourism industry. So I sold furniture, and I had a great sales trainer. And so we were all talking about the so that statements. And that was where I very first learned about the so that statement and why it was so important. So people don't care if, your furniture is built a specific way unless you're telling them, look, it's dovetailed for strength. This thing's never going to come apart. Or look, your helicopter tour features windows all on all sides so that no matter which way you're pointing, everyone has a view. Or look, your website needs to have these 6 things so that your customers are like, oh, I've got this. Or this community gives you access to co-working sessions so that you can focus on the things that you need to focus on, whether it's for your business or for someone else. And it gives you this dedicated time that you can show up so that you're honest to yourself and you actually get it done. So it's all about benefits.
I also think the other thing to keep in mind when you've made your lists and you're trying to figure out where to start and focus is that you want to think about your workflows and how you're delivering kind of those services. We're going to talk a lot more about that in a whole nother episode for sure. And we always say that, but it's because we want you to know things that are coming ahead because they're deeper dives. But the takeaway here is that thinking through this in advance is going to help you position your offer and sell it. So for example, if you are a Facebook ads specialist, you need to think about how do you want people to work with you? Where do they start? Where are they going to ultimately end up with success? What is your process for delivery? Do you have an onboarding meeting that's longer the first time to make sure their creatives and their copy are in alignment with their ad strategy? Do you have the workflow behind the scenes set up so that if somebody clicks on that ad, they're going to get directed to the right place and have an email marketing campaign signed up so that if they do abandon cart, that money spent on that ad is well spent. You have to think through the whole process because it may look like one simple thing that you're selling, but there's usually a Pandora's box that comes out of it. So we'll talk more about that. But when Erin said I'm a systems and strategy person, I am. It's just in the niche of making sure that you're reimagining how you do things, whether you're in an office or building your own business, so that you're efficient and effective and clear. Because what happens when we have that clarity, we can be repeatable and we can automate things, we can delegate things, and we can follow joy because we know how it operates. And then when we need to pivot to be more flexible, guess what? We can do that too because we have a framework. So, I just want to leave you with the thought that if you're working on your offers and you aren't sure if they're clear, or you're working on your offers and you're not sure if they're hitting right, or if they're priced for profit, or if they're being converted to web copy that articulates what you're doing. Those are all things that Erin and I can do. It's ideal to start with us with a joint consultation. And this way we can give you some strategies on both ends. So you can always book that by just emailing us at hi@thezonecommunity.com or coming to social and finding us there. But sometimes that leads to a VIP experience where we spend an entire day getting it done for you. We talked about value offers. This is one of ours. We know sometimes you just want to get it done, whatever it is. And it's amazing what you can accomplish in a focused amount of time. We have other offers, but we're going to leave you with that one today and take our own advice to keep it simple. But I want you to know that that is really a really great way to accomplish what we're trying to have you do. I have a calculator I built that helps you look at your pricing to make sure you're on board. It's really great. There's a lot of cool, fun things that we can do together. So we'll leave you with those strategies and let you know that we are going to be coming back with another kind of tangential related topic next week, where I think you'll find it really interesting, especially because this is summer and it's, contingency planning. Why do you need one? And, I am expecting a baby in August. Erin has some travel and camping plans coming up. Yeah, we have a lot of things on the horizon.
We should talk about how this idea came up. I know we're like way over time here, but
it's our own schedule.
Last August, my husband ended up with COVID, and it was like, oh my gosh, what if I get it? What if I have to go to the hospital? What if all of these other things came up? And I was like, I don't have a contingency plan in my business. So I hopped on the phone with Pam and I was like, this is a workshop because I'm not the only one who needs this. And this is well before Little Peanut was even like an idea.
I didn't even know.
We talked about like what happens if you're having a baby, what happens if it's something that's short term, like a weekend, what happens if it's something that's, a week or a month or 3 months, what happens if there's something that comes up that affects everything and it's longer. So that's what we're going to talk about next week, because obviously I can go on and on about this too.
And sneak peek that there's a workshop in the future. So we're going to have this conversation and talk to you a little bit about why you need a contingency plan, why you should be thinking about it, some things to start thinking about. And then coming sometime down the road, and we'll announce it when we're ready, there will be a workshop to help you create your own contingency plan. Yes. Because everyone needs it. Whether you're a solopreneur or you have a larger business, we can't operate in isolation. And I'll give you one little tip here and then we'll say goodbye for the day. You need to have the confidence to know that you can step out and not lose your place when you want to return, because a solid business is one that is not going to die if you have to take some time.
And I think that's part of the key of today, to wrap things up in a nice little bow, is when you're super clear on what you do and your offers, it becomes easier to hand some of that off. So
yes, because then you have the systems behind the scenes to operate it. So it's all close together. You'll see that when you hear us talk about things. You're going to hear topics come up over and over again because it's all related. But thank you for tuning in. We love spending this time with you. We'll be back next week to talk about why you need a contingency plan. In the meantime, find us on social, weigh in on our poll, reach out if we can help you, and have a great week.
Have a wonderful Tuesday. Yes. All right.